Hello everyone, Bill Johnson here from Johnson Aviation with another maintenance moment. We continue work on the Cessna 180 project. You can see that the lower part of the instrument panel is coming together very well. Still some switches to put in, and we have a lot of wiring to do. We've put in all new engine controls. Originally the mixture was over here. I have moved it to there. Made sure it didn't interfere with anything, and moved the key switch down. So it made for in my view, a more functional panel. Put all the breaker panels on this side to keep it all neat and together. The lights switches are across the top, and you have the start and master switch button. So the panel's coming along. We do have the upper panel back from Aerotronics. I'll show you that. One thing we have been working on are the brakes. We took the hoses out. Down here you'll see some of the fittings. And we have rebuilt the brake calipers. They were leaking, needed new O-rings. But the brake hoses are something you really need to pay attention to in these older Cessnas. When they get hard, they get brittle. And you can see this one is coming apart, very old, possibly even original, just has no flexibility to it at all. I mean, I'm pulling pretty hard compared to this hose, which readily flexes. So these hoses get old and they crack and they break, and then you'll lose brake effectiveness, and that'll open you up to potential ground loops or other problems. So I know those hoses are a little bit of a pain to get to, but don't ignore them. Have your mechanic check the next annual that they've been replaced in the last 10 years or so, and you should be fine. On the Firewall, we have got the engine mount mounted. We put these Acorn, what they call Firewall Repair Kit. Originally, there were rubber bushings there. Some of you with the older planes realize that, but this is a much better way. Gives great continuity between the engine mount and the airframe, and you don't have to worry about those rubber bushings being replaced every few years. We've got the Atlee Dodge battery box mounted on the Firewall. And we got the Steve's Gascolator put in. This project was a little bit difficult in that getting the line off the Gascolator on the back side, reaching up in there to loosen it is a bit of a challenge, but certainly doable. Makes for a much nicer installation. Made a new copper line for the primer. We've been, as you've seen inside, we've installed all new cables, even a new cowl flap cable, so the cables will be all new. Today we're going to put the engine on the plane, and we have this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Continental engine over here, ready to go on the plane. That's straight from Continental, an 0470K. We're going to mount that on the plane, and anytime you mount a new engine on a plane, you certainly want to put new shock mounts for the engine. That's another area that's often ignored, and they get old and they compress and your engine starts to sag and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so we're getting ready to do that. I want to show you, when you get a new overhauled engine mount, these surfaces come painted. Well, you need to sand some of that paint away so you have a metal surface here. The reason that is are these grounding straps. I'll show you the grounding straps. They need to make good continuity with the engine mount so that the engine is grounded to the airframe. So here are all the pieces and parts. The engine mount bolt. These star washers are readily available from, I think, McFarlane and Spruce sells them. You got the 3 pieces of the Berry mount. You can also get lower mounts, but that slides into a slot and they slide together. And then your grounding strap. So let me try to show you how this goes together. A little bit difficult with one hand. You also need to make sure these alignment pins are in there. Very important to make sure everything's aligned properly, because you see there's slots and holes in those. So you can push this up in there and line it up on the pin. And when you do, it'll sit flush. And then this grounding strap goes like this. You know, it lines up with that pin. Okay, let me show you here. So it lines up on that pin, but you can see how it needs to make good continuity with the mount, and it wraps around to this back side and the bolt goes through. Okay, and then this will all slide together. Don't know if I can do it with one hand or not, and try to get everything aligned. Okay, that all goes on there like so. And of course it aligns with the pins. And then the bolt comes up through the back side. You'll see on the bolt there's a little notch there that needs to fit into that little hole right there to keep it from spinning. So again, I don't know if I can do this with one hand, but this is the way it all goes together. So you can see that little washer there goes in there like that. And of course I pushed the top of this out a little bit, but I think you get the idea. So again, it's important though you have good continuity between the mount and the bolt, which goes up to the engine. And you do that in all four corners so that you have good electrical continuity between the engine and the engine mount. It was a little bit hard to do with one hand, so I think you got the idea though. That's where we are in the project. We're going to put the engine on today, and then we will continue getting all the wiring completed and putting the upper panel in. Oh, let me show you the upper panel. I almost forgot about that. So here's our upper panel. We have a JPI 930. We're going to put 2 horizontal G5s and then the other steam gauges. Okay, that's all for now. Have a good day.